In The Dark Knight Rises, a terrorist leader named Bane overwhelms Gotham's finest, and the Dark Knight resurfaces to protect a city that has branded him an enemy.
You don't owe these people anymore. You've given them everything.
Not everything. Not yet.
I think it goes without saying that we were excited for The Dark Knight Rises. I'm pretty sure everybody was. I don't really think that we need to explain that. But I think it does go... I don't think we need to explain that, but I think we should explain our position on this. I am a fan of the Nolan series of movies. Are you?
I am a fan of that, and I'm a fan of Batman. The comics, the cartoons, I love it.
Just Batman in general? Yeah. I think that's underplaying it. One of my heroes without sounding like a goof.
And having just seen The Dark Knight Rises, what do we think, gentlemen?
Well, I think we all share a very big consensus. We can all agree that it was overall fantastic. Fantastic filmmaking. You know, Christopher Nolan, he does his thing. You know, acting, you know, great. But there's a lot of, not a lot. There was just little problems, but like they're big.
The main, most telling thing here is that 2 hours and 45 minutes went by like that.
Yeah,
it felt like it just
when you can do
ended
that,
when it started.
When you can do that, you're a filmmaker.
And that's what
like
I've said about Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. It just starts, and they're long movies, but they are not dull.
Well, you know what I think it is like, you know, you take like a character like Batman, you know, like in a time where so many superhero movies are coming out.
Yeah. And
you know, they're usually not this lengthy. And the thing is, that I believe it is that Batman is such a rich character that you...
Well, Bruce Wayne is, he's very wealthy, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
You empathize with him even when he's not, you know, kicking butt. You know, the part that the masses generally want to see, even in his, you know, in his downtime.
Just character-wise,
just his character. It's just a great character, and you know what? Like it's like these movies, these when superhero movies are done right. I don't believe that superhero movies is shaming the movie business.
Right. Now, obviously, we can't talk about everything that we want to without talking spoilers, so at the end of this review, we will talk about some spoilers, but before that, let's talk about some non-spoiler stuff, starting off with the plot. So, the plot of this thing, what did you guys think of, I guess, the story, the storyline?
It took a little while for it to actually, you know, like, you always knew that something was going on, but it took a while for you to be like, oh, that's what they're doing.
Right, yeah.
Which I guess is what, you know,
it was,
I guess pretty traditional.
I mean, like, some really great things happened in the movie, but I felt like a lot of scenes were missing. Like, there was a huge time gap in the movie, like a 6-month time gap.
Yeah, the movie takes place over, like, 6 months.
It was done in montage.
I missed that completely.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
I told you at the end, I was like, wow, 6 months never went so fast, and you were like, 6 months? I hate that. That's one thing I had a problem with. This movie felt, in my opinion, very rushed.
Yeah,
I'm
so rushed.
I'm going to disagree with that. When I saw that, I was honestly like I was very inspired, and I didn't need to see all of that because that's what movies are. It's just you see the interesting stuff, you see the meaty parts,
right?
You know, like it was long in other places where it needed to be, and you know, like the movie was like, did you want it to be 3 hours?
No, I'll tell you, I wouldn't mind, but I just it's really hard for me, just personally, to stay invested in something if there's such a huge gap between things happening. Like, I just kind of lose. I'm like, oh, yeah, that happened so long ago. I kind of don't care.
Well, yeah, it's
anymore,
like
you know?
with a movie and a plot and characters, like you got this building momentum. It's like, oh, you know, the characters are evolving, like things are happening, and there's like 6 months later.
I can say one thing about the plot about this movie in regards to compared to the other ones. This one was, I think, more about Batman than it was. I feel like The Dark Knight was a little bit too much about the Joker.
Yeah.
I still feel like Batman was... Well, okay, yeah, you're right. It was about Batman. Batman wasn't in it too much.
Yeah, Batman...
But it was about Batman. I see what you're saying.
Well,
I agree.
Like, you know, the costume.
Right.
This also didn't really feel like a grand finale. I know that a movie, it doesn't have to be.
No.
But it's like, it's the last Nolan movie.
Honestly,
it's like,
surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, I guess, I preferred, like, the ending to The Dark Knight. Like, that would be fine for me to end it there, for God's sake.
Batman didn't have a a person, like Bane was he was a terrorist. He was a conflict. It was like he had no personal, like he didn't have like an enemy.
The way I put it was that Bane felt much more like a
Physical?
second movie villain, whereas the Joker felt more like a third movie villain, like a finale villain. You know, and that's kind of how it felt to me. It felt a little weird.
I think they wrote it for Bane to top the Joker, because I mean
I'm sure they did.
He topped the Joker in a lot of ways, like being a bigger threat. Like,
right, exactly, like an actual threat physically, more so.
Mm-hmm. Oh well, that's another thing. Is like this was really like I mean all the characters were humans, except like Bane had a few mega vitamins, but. Like the threat was so grand scale, and like you just think like, well, just call the National Guard,
right? Yeah.
Like, we'll call the military. They were powerless.
Yeah,
like the city was held hostage.
Let's move on to directing. First things first, obviously we already said Nolan is fantastic.
Yeah.
And the first thing that I realized immediately after any of these movies is that he really just makes 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 45 minutes go like lightning.
I mean, you look at the poster and you see all the names attached to it, and like the thing is that...
How you gonna wrangle them? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I felt that each character had, like some of them were more brief than others, but they all had a richness to them that, like every time they were there, like I remembered.
Now, would you say that it may have been a little bit too much juggling? I felt like there might have been just a little bit too much in this movie.
Well, a lot of people think that I hate everything, but I don't. I like the things that I like is when I recognize hard work, where I can say, "Wow!"
And that's evident.
Yeah, it's there's a very big difference in movies. There's tedious work and there's hard work. Like, a movie with a lot of stuff happening is just tedious work.
Yeah.
You follow a script, you do it, you bang it out. This is hard work.
Yes.
Like having so much people directed to do just a thing, just to walk down a street.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
That is hard stuff. Like I can say, wow, I appreciate this.
And acting-wise, once again, we already said this, but the acting is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's really, really great.
I'm very surprised by Anne Hathaway.
Huge surprise, and I'm so happy. That is great.
Yeah, because at first when I saw Anne Hathaway was going to be in this, I was like, no.
Yeah.
And then they showed her as Catwoman, and I was like, no!
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh.
And now you felt the opposite.
I was surprised so many people thought that she had the potential to ruin it.
Well, I'll tell you why. It's not, where are we going to say that she's a good actress?
That she's matured into a good
right,
actress.
and I agree with that. My problem was that the character of Catwoman is sexy. She's sexy, and she's alluring. And I feel like Anne Hathaway, not to say that she's not attractive or anything like that, but I feel like she doesn't really have, sexy. Like, when you look at Anne Hathaway, you don't think she's really sexy, you know what I mean? It's just different. I think that she pulled it off fantastically. Yeah. She was very alluring. I thought she was great. Mm-hmm. And that's just in terms of, the style of the character, but acting-wise, I also thought she was great. And, just to brush them out of the side, all the returning actors were great, as usual. They were great. We're not going to get into them because it's how many times can you talk about them? And but Tom Hardy. What do you guys think of him?
Best casting ever for Bane. I mean, great. When I heard Tom Hardy,
it's kind of an underrated statement.
When I heard Tom Hardy as Bane, I'm like, genius.
Yeah, there you go. You just tapped your head.
When he just walks into a room,
he had presence.
Oh God,
he had presence. He commanded the room. That was so important. Yeah,
yeah. Like when the first showdown between him and Batman, and he's just standing there. You're like, Batman, no, get out of there. Feels like he could kill you just by looking at you.
Yeah, literally, he would will you to kill yourself. That's honestly, that's a great way I think to explain it. His look wills you to just die and just shrivel up and die. And that's all that we can really say without talking any spoilers. So we're gonna wrap up the spoiler-free part of this review by saying once again, very good movie. I thought it was a very good movie. I think you guys may have liked it a little bit more than I did.
Batman means so much to me. It's I was very untrusting with what they would do with wrapping it up, I accept that Nolan's Batman is not the comic. It's not the comic book. It's a different. It's his own take. It's not adhere. And I accept that. The only problem that I have is does it
justice?
Does it stay true to the core of the characters?
And what do you think? Just like a thumbs up, thumbs down?
It's a big thumbs up.
All right, there you go. And really, that's all that matters. And that honestly, that matters to me. The fact that a Batman fan specifically says that, that's all that really matters, I guess. So now we're going to talk about spoilers. If you have not seen The Dark Knight Rises, what are you even still doing here?
There are some big spoilers.
Some big spoilers.
Yeah,
these are monumental spoilers. Now, we're going to talk about pretty much all the big ones. We're going to hit all the bases here. So, if you have not seen The Dark Knight Rises, wait until you can go see it. Don't ruin it for yourself. Don't be a goofball goon bag. Then, after you see the movie, you can come back and watch the rest of this video and see what we had to say about all the spoilers. So, first things first, Batman is a girl the whole time?
Wow.
Get out of here! I'm not kidding! Go! For real, though, first things first, where do we want to start? What's the first spoiler we want to say?
Well, let's get, like,
Let's do an overall spoiler thing. We knew
let's
every single spoiler beforehand, only based on common sense. Nothing was ruined from the trailers.
No.
Nothing was ruined from the plot synopsis for me or images. It was literally just common sense. Right off the bat, you've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Marion Cotillard. Oh, they're cast as side characters?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, they're too good for side characters, so we knew right off the bat that they were going to be more than they were. I didn't know that he was going to be necessarily the Robin character, quote-unquote, which we will get into that momentarily, but I knew he was going to be something like that. And same goes for Marion Cotillard. It was like, she's just kind of like a side girl.
Yeah, okay,
and I'm like, yeah, okay, I bet. Also, some other things such as, Bane in the movie kind of led to the assumption that a certain scene might take place involving Bane picking up Batman and lowering him swiftly over his knee. Yeah.
That kind of brings me to a whole point of the movie where I kind of found it was very useless. Not because like they were when Bruce Wayne is in the pit and he's there for months and stuff and he's recuperating. Yeah. They were trying to set up this thing where it's like he was evolving in some way to get to the top. He's got to overcome the fear of death or something like that. But it's like. There was nothing. It's like he got out.
Yeah,
like,
I think they glossed over that a bit. Yes, I agree.
In regards to the whole breaking out thing, I just like it reminds me of just like just the persistence of the character, and that there's an element of destiny in any Batman story that like he's meant to be Batman. He's meant to carry the symbol, and like at the end of the day, like he will. Prevail.
Yeah, but like to me, like that's already all established.
Like right, exactly. It's kind of like
Batman. He achieved. He passed all his goals already. He's Batman. He doesn't have to overcome anything else because like he's there.
I guess it's kind of like that old adage, like if you take like Spider-Man 2, where he loses his powers by some crazy what you would call it. It's just
to create a struggle. I got it. Okay,
audience appeal.
So going back into the Robin / Talia al Ghul characters. Now let's start with Talia al Ghul because I think I have more to say about the whole Robin shtick. But
Talia is another thing that was
very obvious just because of common sense.
Too much too late.
Yeah, definitely.
It was very odd because at a very early scene. They showed him touch the scar, and it's like, all right, she's already of questionable allegiance.
We know. There's a bunch of times
she has a random scar.
If you're a fan, even if you know like half the things that any normal fan knows, like you gotta know, it's like, oh, she's not.
She's definitely not just a side random character, especially not Marion Cotillard for God's sake. But I we saw that coming. It definitely came too late, way late into the game because it was kind of like
10 minutes later she's dead.
And speaking of which, before we talk about Robin, just because I'm on the topic now, Bane, where did he go? What happened?
Yeah, he got shot.
Bang, and boom. That's it? No? Really?
He was immediately demoted after that. It's like I'm Talia's here. Bane, like you can even see it in his face. He's like,
yeah.
Oh, I guess I'm not in charge anymore.
Well, right, because of course she's the one that's running the show, I guess, in reality. But I don't know. It just seemed kind of like after all that.
They built Bane up to be like a character, and then they're like, oh, he's gone.
I would say there was really no finale for Bane.
My feelings about Bane, like his position, is like. Talia was pulling the strings, yes, but I don't think she could have done it without someone as assertive as and capable as Bane.
Going back to Robin, I think pretty much everybody called this in a way. Like not
that he would be Robin, but that he would be taking on the...
But if you were to call it, I would say you're wrong, because John Blake is, it's John Blake. It's not Dick Grayson, not Tim Drake, not Jason
Todd,
but
we just only based on the fact that it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt, though, we assumed, okay, there's more to this character. Yeah. Is he going to... we assumed he was going to take on the mantle of Batman or some form of it.
It was well understood. I think the most obvious thing is that we knew that Batman was going to retire or something. He could have died.
Which we'll get into that in a moment.
But... And John Blake, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, would...
take on
the mantle, carry on the symbol, which is like the whole. They keep talking.
And I like that. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
And like my thing is like it's enough to see that he goes into the cave, basically goes through the same exact thing. It's almost like moment to moment, like the same thing that happened before, which goes back to the Destiny thing. But like that's all we needed. We didn't have. You didn't have to put a name to it.
I didn't need them to be like, you should use your full name. Robin. It's
Yeah,
like,
that was-
I get it.
So that's
okay.
his full name? Was he Cher?
Yeah.
You know, like Madonna?
They could have made that work a little better,
Yeah,
but
that
the
was
way
weird.
they did it was like, Robin.
It just kind of seemed.
Yeah,
I know
that was a wink.
Christopher
She was
Nolan
like-
never wanted to do that. Even I don't know what happened at the last minute here. He said he never wanted
That
to do
might have
Robin.
been a Hollywood
but
compromise.
might have been a compromise. It felt like a compromise. I'll say that. It did not feel like a genuine thing. But let's talk about, I guess, the final thing: Batman dying, but not dying. So,
I was
what do you
looking-
guys think about this?
What the hell happened? It's like, all right, so Batman has to fly.
He went out there
to fly an atomic bomb out of Gotham, and it explodes.
I guess he dropped it off and then flew out.
Oh,
I'm comfortable with it.
Okay,
I would've been
I feel
upset.
like that's a little weird.
I've said in the past that I would be very upset if you killed Batman.
but it's like it's an atomic explosion.
I kind of consider it almost a little bit of a cop-out because it's like, we gave you the Batman dies ending, but
Yeah.
he didn't really die, so we got both
Yeah.
endings out of you. We tricked you. I'm not a fan of that.
Like you say something like, he dropped off an atomic bomb, and you're like, how did he do this? It's the same thing, like whenever he's talking to Commissioner Gordon, Commissioner Gordon
disappears.
gets distracted and he disappears. You
Yeah.
wonder, how the hell did he disappear?
I got it.
without
Okay,
making a
okay.
noise?
Okay.
That's
Okay.
That's the majesty of Batman, is that,
Yeah.
you're like, you don't know how he does it.
Regardless of that, though, the fact that they made you think he died is my problem. Oh, wait, I forgot. We wanted to talk about this. Batman is a damn time waster. When Gordon picks up the flare, and
Yeah.
then Batman's like, light it up. And he lights the ground, and it's like... And it's like this fine, perfect line of, I guess, gasoline up, down, across the
bridge.
Across the ice,
Yeah.
up the bridge, all the way up to this massive street art, freaking Batman Banksy.
I'm sure he's had a lot of practice drawing bats, and that's
That probably took him hours.
I
of
want to
work.
see that scene where he's up there just painting it, and then doing the line ooh, they're gonna love this, and then he puts the flare on the ground and he's like, light it up. And I'm not even complaining about these little things. I just thought they were very silly. And once again, in this grounded, realistic Nolan universe, stuff like that is like, what? That's silly.
but I love the symbol of it.
So all in all, we obviously enjoyed it overall. I don't think I doubted I would. I knew I would.
Yeah, let's make this clear.
Yeah.
We did have a couple of problems with it,
Right.
But we still loved it.
I
Yeah,
liked it a
yeah.
lot. Yes, I liked it a lot. And I'm personally trying not to compare them because they're all very different. Batman
Yeah.
Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises. I think they're all very different from each other, and I'm probably
But
better off not
they
comparing
all
them.
hold weight with each other.
Right, they all
think-
work together,
I
but-
think to say one's better than the other, I think opinion comes in,
It's kind of just one big whole thing.
because they're all
So-
they're all terrific. movies.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. I'm probably better off not comparing them or anything like that. But yeah, overall, we really enjoyed The Dark Knight Rises. I mean, it's great. All these movies are really great. So let us know in the comments what you thought of The Dark Knight Rises. It's finally here. What do you think of it? Let us know if you want, your order. If you want Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, where you stand on them, guys. People like to do that. We're not doing it, but feel free. Let us know what you thought of the acting specifically, because everyone else is returning. Specifically, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Marion Cotillard as the smaller ones, but then, of course, Anne Hathaway and Tom Hardy. Let us know what you thought of them. Let us know what you thought of anything about The Dark Knight Rises. And that's pretty much it.